Tonight on The State we're in, a chance to look at two of Brisbane's favourite mouths. The deep throat of breakfast radio on 4IP is Alan McGirvan, and at work he looks like this.
Share Queensland with a friend, where the sunshine never ends. It's one big holiday. Come on, come out to play. 4IP.
At 2 minutes 40 per 100, that's 12 minutes.
S7, Mr. Ryan, can I help you?
Good morning. Who am I talking to there?
Mr. Island?
Fiona Island, is it?
That's right.
Fiona, I've got a big surprise for you. You'd never guess who this is.
Oh, no!
It's Bert Newton from the Don Lane Show. Isn't that wonderful? We're recording the wheel segment right now, Fiona.
Who put me in for it?
I think, I'm not sure myself, I think the patients and staff of the spinal unit there. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Just about to spin the wheel, and let's see what comes up here. Fiona, can you believe what it stopped on?
Oh, what?
It stopped on a Qantas flight on the 21st of August
Yes?
to
Don't tell me.
America?
No, that's wrong. Sorry.
They didn't give me that
You've
part.
lost the competition.
I've lost my voice too. It's Alan McGirvan,
Share
Fiona.
Queensland with a friend. 4IP.
So I've
Would you
always
welcome-
wondered how he did that.
Would you welcome Alan McGirvan? My second guest is one of radio's survivors, who has wooed the people of Brisbane with such gentle phrases as rip your cheeks apart and up Australia. Waynie Pooh does this to Brisbane from 4BK each morning.
Whitey, whitey, rise and shine.
Feeling good. 4BK music, feeling good.
What do I say? What? Eekly Badish. The lady is German.
Good morning, 286-315.
Good morning. Could I speak to Ingrid, please?
Yes.
Danke.
I beg your pardon?
Danke.
Who's speaking?
Don't tell her. It's Wayne Roberts.
Ryan Roberts.
Yeah, no, danke. Don't cough, you told. No tell.
Yeah, hang on a sec.
Okay, you get Ingrid.
Yeah, just hang on a sec.
Volkswagen, sauerkraut. Kremlin. Who was the other bloke that had the tanks? On the sand dunes. What was his name?
Rommel.
Rommel.
Hello?
Yeah, is that you, Ingrid? Ingrid?
Yes?
Ich liebe dich. Un Waynie Pooh un 4BK. Ja! Ja! Ich liebe dich. Can I sing to you in German?
Yes, please.
Here I go. Und Kraten und Zucker im Blästen und Schwunzeln blendu. Sigle Bund und Goa, Sauerkraten, Volkswagen, too. Und Kinder, Hundegraten, der Kremlin, Rommel, too. Und Krone hatten Hüten, und happy birthday, love.
Oh, thank you very much.
Would you welcome Wayne Roberts? Thank you. An apology first, Wayne, from the ABC. I believe in the shooting of that, the film crew sort of blew your studio to pieces.
Yes, I wasn't aware they were coming in, Peter, and these two guys come in looked like they were ex-Marx brothers or something. And they got these lights, and they said, can we put them to this panel here? I said, yeah, won't matter at all. I said, how many watts or amps does it pull? They said, only about 2 or 3 or 400. So I'm raving away on air, and I'm saying good morning and doing the normal things that we do, or abnormal things. And then all of a sudden, poof, everything's went. Records went, the whole lot. I couldn't find the switchboard or the fuses. But these two blokes could. So we're off the air for about a minute, courtesy of the ABC. Thank you.
Alan, what sort of foul-ups have occurred to you in your career at
Technically, some awful things happen. Radio is utterly dependent on getting that little sound to come out of that speaker. Probably the worst is when we were owned by Bill Allen, because Bill's very well known throughout Queensland and the National Party.
How's the house on top of Hamilton?
Big one. It's a mansion, really. And the link dish, our transmitters are out in St. Helena Island. The link dish up there shoots the signal out to St. Helena, and of course they had a Christmas party up there and someone got drunk and knocked over the link dish, and 4IP couldn't understand why we were off the air. And it was because someone said,
Ah, what if I knocked over here? What's the... Oh, it doesn't matter.
and sort of we're off the air for 6 hours, and they said, why are we off the air? And that's the sort of thing that happens all the time. Nothing's really that obvious on radio. There are always systems to keep you going on the air.
When I came back to Australia recently, one of the first things I saw at the airport was a cab which had "Rip Your Cheeks Apart" written across the back windscreen. And I said to the taxi, it is appalling.
Disgusting.
I said to the taxi driver, why have you got "Rip Your Cheeks Apart" on the back of your cab? And he looked at me as if I'd escaped from somewhere and said, "Waney poo," which didn't help very much. Can you explain how that happened?
What's a waney poo?
What's a waney poo, and where did "Rip Your Cheeks Apart" come from?
Well, first of all, waney poo started about 71 and a half or 72, and we were doing the Sound of Brisbane. And this gentleman with a bad lisp, I think he used to do a lot of drinking at the Hussey in the hotel, phoned up and said, oh, hello, Mr. Poozy, how are you? And I said, don't call me Poozy. He said, oh, sorry, W. Poopalia. And he kept, with these Poopalia, W. Poo thing. And because the more I insisted that he didn't do this, the more he persisted. And consequently after that we had, I'm called Waney Poo, or WP, or Waney Poop. My wife at the tuck shop is known as Mrs. Poo, or Mrs. P, or Mrs. Poop, and my son's name is David P, and my daughter's Karen Poo, and it's silly. But I've learned to live with that. Doesn't worry, it pays the bills. But the Rip Your Cheeks Apart thing started, we had a crazy technician called Ralph McCullough, God bless his heart, a very funny man. And I said to him one morning, because I only just started on breakfast and I needed to make an impact, because Malcolm T. Elliott, who was a big name and a big voice in the town at that stage, went to Sydney, and I was quite an insignificant sort of figure. And I thought, now, I wasn't allowed much latitude on air, but I had to do something outrageous in 3 hours. And I said to Ralph, I said, do you reckon I could say, pull your cheeks apart? Oh, no, you couldn't say that. He said, people think you mean bottom. He said, do you really think they'd think that? Oh, yes. Well, I'll say it. Rip your cheeks apart! And it was wonderful. Oh, the phones, the abuse, the writs. It was marvellous. Everybody started talking about this Waney Poopalia or Poop who was ripping your bottom apart. And so that expression stuck. But of course, what we really mean is pull your face apart, smile. And it stuck, I think. Well, I hope it stuck. That's why we went out putting the sticker campaign up. But that's it.
What's the most impactful thing you've done on radio? The thing that got the most response?
Most response. Probably on different levels. Probably the 2 years they sent us to Jerusalem to do a Christmas Day broadcast. That was amazing. It seemed to be out of context, a little incongruous with what 4IP was all about. Frank Moore was then our managing director, and Frank sent us on 2 years to Jerusalem. We did the Christmas Day thing. That in its own way is probably the greatest impact.
Do you think of yourself as influential? Do you think that you are a powerful figure behind the microphone in terms of what you can do and the way you can influence people's opinions?
It's nice to have the sort of influence that if something very, very wrong is being done, that we would have a little more influence than the average Joe in the street. And it's true, we do, because if we can get back to somebody and suggest to them that maybe they should change this or that, they shouldn't do the wrong thing by, or if we have someone who's blatantly ripping people off or doing the wrong thing, there is the Consumer Affairs, for example, until it's tabled in Parliament, aren't allowed to announce the names of people who've been doing things again and again and again against the consumer, against the public. Well, we can, incurring occasionally a writ, very few of which never get anywhere. Mm-hmm. But it's nice to have at least that much power.
Have you ever come to terms in your own mind with why people listen to you at all?
I think
not you, you understand, you generally.
Me generally. I think I probably epitomise the average person. The things I talk about are always family orientated. They're very much. I've always assessed my audience on their wage bracket. Government statisticians tell us that 80% of Australians make under $13,000 a year. That is a fact. They can only afford one sort of lifestyle. They can only afford one car. They can't afford two cars. And if it's two cars, it's two jalopies. They can only afford to eat out once a month, take an overseas holiday once every 5 years. And being aware of that market, and with my own background, I have empathy for these people. I was brought up in the same lifestyle. I figure that what I'm doing is exactly what they want to hear. I mean, I don't try and go up market. That's a terrible term. You know, I hate oh, you're going up market or you're going down market. I talk to the real people.
But how can you talk to people earning less than 13,000 a year when you yourself would be earning so much more than that?
That's because that's my job. I'm a communicator, you see. My forte is that I can entertain where a lot of people can't. And that's a gift that was given me by God. And I work very hard. It's not just a matter of 6 to 10 on air. My day starts at 4 in the morning and I get home at about 8 o'clock at night. I was commenting to my wife. I said, I haven't seen daylight with the kids in 2 months. I put in a 70-hour week. And I figure for that amount of effort that I put into my job, I deserve to be highly paid. And for the risks of the marriage, the kids, everything else, I want to be well paid.
The other thing you're tied to, Alan, would be ratings. How tightly are you tied to that book that comes out and says, this is how many people are listening to you?
Well, that's what it's all about. That's the be-all and end-all, and both Wayne and I live and die by that. If the ratings aren't so good, well, I'm afraid we're simply out of a job. You tie up in a contract for a certain period of time, but that gets to be renewed. And more than a rating, the radio station does what they call tracking surveys, and they know at all times why audience are, if they're joining you, if they're going away, and they know indeed for what reasons. And they can see a trend developing in the marketplace that a whole bunch of people, even down to age groups, say you're losing a lot of 18 to 39-year-olds. It's that much of a science now. And they can see that those people are leaving you, and they say, well, what's he doing wrong? Or if they can see a great number of people across the border leaving you, all of a sudden, bang, you're dead. And it's that simple.
Does that instill in people like yourself the kinds of thoughts that if you were offered enough money for one job, no matter how crass or dreadful you thought it was, or maybe even how improper you thought it was, that you'd seize it, take the money and run? Does it make you that kind of person?
No, I'm to the point now, and I guess Wayne would, we would both been in radio about the same time, where I wouldn't be doing it. I think we have the ultimate luxury. We do a job that we enjoy, and not many people do. And I think if you don't enjoy it, you may as well not be doing it. It's not worth a damn thing.
Well, it's not work, is it? I don't class it as work.
No, we're very lucky.
It's part of my life.
Yeah.
I don't go to work. I'm going to live. That's what I'm doing.
Just very much.
Can you explain that a bit more? In what way?
Well, some people go to work because it is a drudgery. Because it's drudgery, they call it work. I don't go to work. I go there to, it's like a confession. Really, I would probably speak more with my audience and give more of myself than I probably do to my wife. It's a crazy thing. There's always a lot of arguments at home about that too. And she says, I didn't know that we were going out on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
She says, I heard on the radio this morning.
That's absolutely true.
But really, it's a confession for 4 hours. And I love relating stories back to people that I have heard or what I've witnessed or something. I'm living all the time. It's a 24-hour process. It's not work for me.
What happens when you get old?
I'll join the ABC. We rehearsed that.
Now I've got to find the bit on the script that refers to that.
No.
Yes, you joined the ABC. Yeah. Well, for that reason...
I actually passed an audition for the ABC
Did
once.
you?
Yeah. You should have heard the audition.
I hope you passed this one. We thought it might be fun to give you a prior audition in case you do get very old and come to join the ABC.
Oh, that's very kind.
These scripts are official ABC audition scripts. We'll get you to give them the commercial treatment in a moment. While you're looking at those, we'll listen to it the way Auntie likes to have it.
Who's doing this?
Gary Order.
Gary Order, right.
Music in Brisbane today is taken from a recital given recently by the visiting celebrity artist Ulf Hölscher. The accompanist is Beryl Potter. The program begins with Schubert's Rondo Brillante in B minor. And then as a tribute to the great Viennese violinist Fritz Kreisler, whose centenary is being celebrated this year, Ulf Hölscher has chosen 3 of his popular miniatures: Caprice Venois, Sicilian and Rigodon, and Preludium and Allegro.
Right.
Prior to 1935, these latter 2 works were attributed to Frank Kerr and Pugnani, respectively. Many other similar works had also been ascribed to 17th and 18th century composers by the young Kreisler, who no doubt expected unfavourable comments from the critics.
Right, well that's the way it should be done.
I think you should say.
We might start with Alan. Would you like to give your perhaps commercial reading of that?
Oh, audition for Alan McGirvan for ABC Radio 1. Music in Brisbane today is taken from a recital given recently by visiting celebrity artist Wolf.
Help him.
Come on, you're right, come on.
Posture.
That's the way.
He will play Rimsky-Korsakov's Bum of Flight of the Bee. You know, I'm sorry, I'll read that again. Incidentally, should I get this job, could I work flexi time, which means I'll start at midnight on Sunday and finish Tuesdays at 8 p.m, please?
I don't think he's going to get it. Mr. Roberts, go.
All right then. As Wayne put it. Music in Brisbane today is taken from a very boring recital given recently by a visiting celebrity artist, Ulf Holschner. Now, my father's name is Ulf, and it's spelled A-L-F, so obviously this man is a homosexual. The accompanist is Beryl Potter. Beryl Potter, she had the takeaway at Scarborough. She then went out to Cunnamulla and worked as a secretary to a firm of legal people, Churnside, Gruntfuddick and Fotheringale. You remember them?
Doesn't say that. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. The program begins with Schubert's Rondo, Brillatine in B minor. Vaseline, they sponsored everything in those days, didn't they? And then as a tribute to the great Vietnamese violinist, Fritz Kreisler, whatever his name is.
Viennese.
Yes, whose centenary is being celebrated this year. Ulf Holschner, the homosexual, has chosen 3 of his popular miniatures: Caprice Viennose, Drambuie, Cicilline, and Ragnoli, and Cointreau, and a pendulum up the Allegro. Many other similar works had also been ascribed to the 17th and 18th century composers by the young Kreisler, who no doubt expected unfavourable comments from the critics. He then went on to make TV sets. Dolly Parton also makes a guest appearance.
That'll have the ABC announcing staff trembling at the knees. Tell me about the ego thing, about people in radio, commercial radio, who have egos, and what happens to them if they get taken down. Or is that a myth about working in commercial radio? Are you all hyped up? Are you all think you're great? Do you have to think that way?
Hyped up?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course you've got to have an ego. There are surgeons who have the most enormous ego in the world. I think to be a really top operator, you need an ego. You also need to have that, part of the ego is the desire, obviously the desire to win. And when you're on, you know, we're not public service, we don't have any superannuation, we're not on a pension when we finish. And any given time, I guess, the most we can ever ask as far as security goes is 12 months. I wouldn't have it any other way, but you certainly do need an ego to be able to get through each day and do your very best, because that's what it's all about. It's
we have to give our best. Listen, see, some people really can work on 60 or 70% effort. We have to try and aim for 100%. I think because you're aiming for 100% all the time, and you want the best, and you know it's the best, and when people tell you it's the best, it's got to feed your ego somewhat, and you've got to have a massive ego to survive this.
What are the times when your particular ego has taken most of a hammering, where people haven't been telling you the best and you felt you're not?
I guess when the survey comes out, but touch wood, everything's going fine so far. I mean, I'm going to have the face today, so well, Alan, when we find we're too old and there's some young guy that's better, then we're going to have to move on and grow cabbages or whatever we do. But just getting back to Alan's point about no superannuation, the only superannuation we got is 12 months, and you need to be paid quite a large sum of what you put up with. As I said to you before, you're putting up with the pressure of work, because you're also supporting the other members of your staff, because if breakfast dies, in my case, the rest of the station dies. So there's 35, 40 people that are working. So there's pressure there. I need to be paid a lot of money to put up with the hassles that I have to go through at home with my family and being seen in public. For instance, I can't go to a supermarket anymore with my wife. I can't go shopping. My kids get hell at school. David does. And so I want a lot of money to put up with that. So that's my superannuation.
What kind of hell does your son get at school?
Oh, well, I mean, they'll tell David that they don't listen to Waynie Poo, or Waynie Poo's an idiot, or Waynie Poo's... Now, he's only 9, he can't understand that. I tell him that they listen, son. But he can't understand that. He's a very sensitive boy. And that gets him down. So you've got to put up with a hell of a lot. So you've got to be paid a hell of a lot.
I work on a basic principle. A lovely lady called me the other day and say her thought for the day was, life is not a dress rehearsal, today is all you've got. And isn't that so true? And it's particularly true for us because we live today. It's all we've got. It's all anyone's got, but for us particularly. And the best show, we don't remember yesterday's. We certainly are thinking about tomorrow's, but we are doing our damnedest to do the very best we can today because it's so immediate.
You have crabs in this industry too. You have crabs in all sorts of industry. Yes, call them crabs. You have successful people, then you have crabs. you see. And crab's a unique species of animal. There's a guy walking along fishing, you see, and he's getting all these crabs and putting them in this big bucket, but there's no top on the bucket. And the observers, the people observing this, couldn't figure why he's going all this hard work getting the crabs, putting them in the bucket. And they walked up to him and they said, aren't you worried about the crabs getting out? He said, no, he says, because as soon as one crab starts to get to the top, there's 3 others start to pull him down, you see. And that's another thing that we get in this game. We get a lot of jealousy. There are successful people and there are crabs.
How does jealousy affect you? What form does it normally come in?
I've found more of it. I had 12 months with the ABC, and I found more of it there than anywhere else. And it's, I'm sure Wayne would agree with me here. I don't know why. It was petty things.
Cut.
No offence.
Finish. Yes, take it off.
No offence.
No. Little things, but people for reasons best known to themselves, because they perceive you as being successful with making more money than them. And invariably, they're the people who, unfortunately, don't have a great deal to contribute to the radio station and to actively to what you're doing. And I'm sure Wayne's
And the jealousy doesn't invariably comes from people that don't work on the broadcasting side. Like most of the jealousy that I would experience comes from other areas than broadcasting. It comes from
for no reason. It's a very negative thing, and it goes back to you've got to be as positive as you can all the time. You know, people. The negative people, someone said anyone who doesn't have a sense of humour isn't worth knowing. Well, anyone who tries to do this crab trick that Wayne's talking about.
Well, talking of things like jealousy, is there anything, for example, Alan, that Wayne does that you are jealous about, that you wish that you could do? You think he does better than you do?
Oh, I really do wish I could sing. And he's a man is a very, I wish I could sing.
Can't you sing anything at all?
I can sing.
Nice.
Sing something. just a little something.
Share Queensland with a friend.
Well, now, Wayne, could you show us how that ought to be done?
What? It's the same line.
Well, what did you think?
Oh,
he thinks you can sing.
No. He's just a very good live entertainer, and he sings very well. And it's just one little thing I'd always want to do is sing, because it'd be nice to be able to sing.
Yeah, that's tough, Alan.
I can see your mind working over because you thought he's going to ask me now. Is there anything about McGirvan that you're jealous of?
No, not really.
Personality, good looks.
He's good looks, yes. Height? Height, yeah. Yeah. You've rehearsed this, haven't you?
Can we talk a bit about commercials, which are very much the lifeblood of what you do? I was listening to you recording commercials this morning. I won't be specific, don't worry. Relax. But does that sort of super hype thing of having to stand up there and sell something you probably know nothing about and you're not particularly interested in, does that get to you after all?
No, it doesn't. The world exists on sales, because without salesmen, you don't have production lines and you have people out of work, and you don't have managers and you don't have money, and then the world crashes around you. The world survives on sales, and I endorse half a dozen products a morning, a year I should say. 6 people sign up a year with me for the year, and if I don't like the product, I just don't advertise it. And say, well, we'll go and get someone else. But if I say something is good and I suggest you go there, if there are any complaints, I expect full responsibility. And I tell people that. I say, tell them Wayne Pooh sent you. And if you don't like it, you tell me. Because then I get right back up the company again and I'll say, listen, you're doing the wrong thing by me. I said, I'm telling you you're great. And all of a sudden you're dudding the public. So there's a very good rapport between myself and the advertiser. And I believe in what they're paying a lot of money for those commercials. And I've gone to the point of looking at it and assessing the company, and if I believe it's right, I'll say it's right.
Are you the same, Alan, or have you ever been in situations where, in fact, you've been endorsing things that you wouldn't have a clue even where the factory was? Or?
Oh, no, you've got to do your homework, and it's exactly as Wayne said. You've got to make sure they're doing the right thing by the public, because you're making a fool of yourself, and your credibility just falls right over. If it's like, I suppose it's like early in our careers, we went to a radio station because we wanted to improve ourselves, and we worked cheap. We worked cheaper than, we knew we were worth more money, but yet we wanted the opportunity, we wanted to do it. And I found, and I'm sure Wayne has, that nobody ever appreciates you for working cheap. The more they pay you, the more they appreciate you, and the more they respect you. And it's the same with the public. The public won't respect you if you're backing a dud firm, as happened in this town. There have been endorsements for the firms that have done dreadful things.
But I mean, have you ever been in a situation where you've said no? I'm thinking of a situation perhaps where a product is made in South Africa and you feel strongly about it.
No, I have a golden rule.
I won't do it.
I won't do commercials for used car dealers. That's
Yes, I'm the car. So I pulled out of cars 18 months ago.
It's just as, unfortunately, because of the nature of the business. There's so
And they've all got guarantees,
variables.
haven't they? And they'll all give you 6 months warranty. They'll all fix every nut and bolt.
You get the 6 warranty, 6 miles or 6 minutes, whichever comes first. Bert Shady from See You Later Motors called me up.
And they all look the same, don't they? They've all got
white shoes.
Yeah, white belt, right? One-way sunglasses, you know, the reflection. You can do your hair in it, right? And a little diamond pin just there, you know. And they all talk with their hands like that, you know.
G'day, pal.
Get your
Hey,
backside.
champ.
You look good in this, mate. Eh? It's not a dog, hasn't been on its lid.
Mind you, you're both wearing similar coloured suits, or they're both match. You've got shirts open.
That's another
about
good
2 buttons there. Have you both got medallions on? You have.
No. That's a little gold chain. My wife gave me that for giving her a daughter.
I thought that would have sounded Oh, something else. Yes, name changes. Have you ever worked under different names?
Oh yeah, I used to be. When I first started with the NZBC, which is the New Zealand equivalent to the ABC, I loved the Jeff, Tony and Bob days on 4BC. Jeff, Tony and Bob. And none of them had their real name, you know. So I went down there and at 1ZD, and I said to a guy who had a great big voice, I said, can you call me something? Don't just call me Wayne. Big drum roll on the whole lot. So I came back, I was Groover Wayne. You know. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Groover Wayne. But everyone used to write to me, Groover Wayne. You know, dear Groover Wayne. And I thought I was actually Groover Wayne.
Right. What about you, Alan? Have you worked under different names?
True story. My first job in radio, I was known as Tony Warwick.
Tony Warwick.
I was. I went for the job. Hobart was my first job. I was a television cameraman, and I figured that I could. I thought I might like to try radio announcing, so I did. And I started, and they said, "You can't call yourself Alan McGirvan." And I said, "What? It sounds like it's some sort of bronchial disease." And I said, "I see, fine." And they said, "Got it, Tony Warwick." It's sort of well-rounded. And so for 12 months in Hobart, I was known as Tony Warwick. And if I ever go back there on holidays, and with my kids, and they said, "G'day, Tony."
Hey, you told you're Alan, Dad.
How are you, Tone? G'day, mate.
I knew a bloke called, what's his name? Rock Cool.
In Australia?
No, in New Zealand, Rock Cool, and there was a Steve Cool.
There are 3 at any given time, because the radio stations, they're announced to be personalities, give them very nebulous names. There is one network that has 3, I kid you not, 3 announcers in 3 different markets in Australia called David Jones. I'm not kidding. If there is a real David Jones out there, maybe your mother's been going steady with a Xerox machine. But there are 3 David Jones in Australia. That's not their real names, obviously.
Very quick final question. What if you're axed? What if it ended tomorrow? What would you do?
Oh, I'd take a holiday. I'd love a holiday. Just for 6 months. Get right away, and I'd come back and come back like Mark Twain in a revised edition, bigger and better than ever. But I'd love a 6-month holiday, because I've been doing this for 14 years, and I guess you get a little tired. Maybe even our little breaks, our little holidays aren't quite enough. True?
Yeah, I do the same thing. I've been getting up for the last 12 years at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd take about 12 months off. I've always wanted to see Europe, but I reckon you'd be wasting it for sort of 3 weeks. So I'd have a long holiday, and then I'd treat my industry like a business too, so I'd put a bit of money away and a few little things that probably keep me going. Then I'd probably sell mullet gut down the jumping head.
We look forward to seeing you there. Wayne Roberts, Alan McGirvan, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Peter.